Good evening everyone, welcome to this video. So in the previous video we spoke about keys, that is this key attributes, and how React uses this key attributes to individually identify every item rendered in the DOM dynamically. So what this means is that without that key attributes, React cannot tell this card from this card to React that are exactly the same regardless of the data that is put inside. So for React to be able to tell that each card is different, that's why you have to provide this key prop and set it to a unique identifier for each card. In this case, we have random numbers that are created. In theory, this random number function can return two numbers that are exactly the same, but because of we're just rendering 6 items, that is not going to work. The video before that, we spoke about dynamic rendering, where we can just set an array, put a number of items in the array, and we're able to render those number of items. As you can see now, there are a lot of them. So in this video we're going to be talking about the filter function. It's an array function, an array method. So it's similar to the dot map, and what the dot map does, renders a function based on it renders a function based on the number of items inside an array. What this means is that there are 6 items inside this array. This means that this function right here, let me highlight it so it will be clear. This function right here will be executed 6 times for each and every. Will be executed 6 times, once for each and every item in the array. So since it says return a card, it's going to return 6 cards. So we're able to dynamically render 6 cards on screen. 6 cards on screen, as you can see. So now what we're going to talk about is the filter function. That is to be cards.filter, an array.filter. And what this does, I think I have a website here opened up. What this does is, in this example, you can see we have an array of words, and it's saying words.filter. Each word, this is a function right here, although it's a different way of writing a function, and it's returning every word, right, that has a length greater than 6. So out of all these words that are there, the words that have length greater than 6 is 1, 2, 3. And it returns it as an array, meaning that each and every item that is greater than 6 in length, that's 6 items in length, that is each letter here, since it's more than 6, anyone that is more than 6, that is this ones, it will put all those items individually inside an array, right, and that array will be returned. So in this case, this result is an array, and is this that returns the array. So it will become a little bit clearer when we do an example. So if we go back to our code, how can we implement that here? So the first thing we're going to do, how we're going to build this is by, as I earlier said, is the application that was shown before, that when we click on this button, something should, when you click on this button, this card, or when you click on the card should like be removed from the browser. So you like deleting it from the browser, essentially. So what we can easily do is go back to our code. You can see our code here, and inside this dot map, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a use state. Since something is going to change in the browser, remember I said use state is used when you want something to change in the browser. So I'm going to create a new constant. I'm going to call the first list, and I'm going to call the function set list, and I'm going to equate it to use state, right? And this use state, what I'm going to do is that the initial value of use state is going to be equals to this array. So I'm going to put the array there. Remember I said that the initial value can be anything, even an array. So we remove cards. So now if we run our code, obviously there will be an error because of card now is not more defined. So cards is not defined, and nothing will be rendered in the DOM since cards is not defined. There's an error. So we can go back, and instead of rendering of mapping to cards, we can map to list, since list is an array. So if we map to list, everything is back to normal. But there's a reason why I did that. So what we can now do is that instead of returning just this, right, we have this card here. Inside this map, we can now use, okay, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a click and unclick. And the reason why I'm going to add an unclick is because when I click on any of these cards, I want them to be gone, like to just disappear. So what I will do is go here, right, inside the cards. Mind you, the unclick attribute has already been passed down, so I can see there's a prop dot unclick. So take note of that. So we can go unclick, right, and maybe we'll call it delete handler because that's what it's going to be doing. So we'll call it delete handler, right? Delete handler. So we just put an unclick on this, but this handler is not defined. So inside this .map function, I can create a delete handler right here, which is equals to an anonymous function, fat arrow function, right? And inside this function, I'm going to do a few things. The first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to call the filter. Do you understand? I'm going to filter out using a condition from this card, from this list rather, this list of items here. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to do list dot filter, right? And just like dot map, filter takes a function as you have to pass in a function inside the dot filter method basically. So dot filter takes in a function as an argument, right? And what do we call, since we call this one card, so I will not be confused, let's call this one maybe item. So what this means is that for every item inside this list, right, for every item inside this list, you're going to call a function, you're going to do something. And don't forget that dot filter works differently from dot map. What dot filter returns is an array, so it will return an array, while dot map does not really return anything unless you specify it. And here what we specify that we should return this card with a card.title and a card.id. So we call this item, and what we're now going to do right here is what we're going to return something. So let's call return, and we're going to return based on the condition. And what the condition is going to be is that we're going to check if card.id, right, is not equals to item.id. So what this is basically doing is this. Let me explain it. Since dot filter returns an array based on the condition, and this is the condition, this line right here would return either true or false for each of the item. So what that means is that if this stuff is true, it will be put as a return statement of this dot filter. So let's save that return value, not statement, that return value inside a constant. And let's call this constant maybe updated list. So what this means is that this updated list is an array, and this updated list array is going to be based on this condition. So what this will do is that it will first, when you click on a card, so we go to our browser, let's say we click on card 3. When we click on card 3, it's going to go through the list, right? So it will go to this list and check for card 3. When you click on this card 3, it's now going to check if this ID, right? That means if this card.id is not equals to item.id. If it's not equals to it, it will put it inside this updated list array. So what that means is that we can literally remove the one we clicked. So for instance, now if we click the third one, in this case, let's go back here so I visualize. If we click on this button and we go back here, right? When we come back to this card, what it's going to check is that button we clicked, is it equals to this one? If it's equals to this one, remove it. If it's equals to this one, remove it. That's what this line is doing. So what we can now do after that, What we cannot do after that, inside this, we cannot do set list. We can set that list to updated list. So if everything works, when we click on it, it moves, it's removed from the DOM. So that works until you have nothing. So essentially what it's doing is, you know what, let me do something. I also want to console.log. I want console.log, so I'll show you. I want console.log list, which is this list here, this list. So if we go back to our browser, open DevTools, sorry. If you open DevTools, let me see. Sorry, forgotten how to do this. Okay, right. So we have this, and let me refresh. If we're just clear. Ignore these errors for now. So when we click on this card, what we can find is this. There are 6 items from 0 to 5, card 1 to 6. And when we click on a new one, what is going on? There are now what? 4 items. Sorry, 5 items. So let's click on card 6. If we click on card 6 now, and we have this new array. Let's click on card 2. Let's click on card 3. Okay, I know there's a problem. Let me refresh. I didn't notice this before. Let's console.log list before we set the new list item. So let's refresh. If we click on refresh, what's going on? Card 2. Why is it starting from card 2? So start from card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just debug this. What is the problem? Card 1. Okay. I don't know what the problem is. So if we click on this card 2, notice that card 2 is gone. Okay, so it's off screen. That's the problem. Okay, let's refresh. So we have card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, card 5, and card 6. So what we can do now is, if we click on card 1, card 1 will be removed from the DOM. So if we look at this first item, notice that card 1 is the first item. Okay, there's a problem. Sorry, I'm so sorry. This console.log, I want to do it right here. It's going to do it 6 times. Let me do it right here at the beginning, right here. So let's remove this one. Hopefully that solves our problem. Another thing about program is that you have to be good at debugging. So it's part of the process. If we click on card 1, we still have 6 items. I don't know what the problem is, why it's still rendering 6 items, but the next one will be 5. So what it's basically doing is that when you click on this button, the one we click on disappears from the DOM. That's essentially what is going on. So let's refresh. Notice if I click on card 1 is gone. Click on card 6, there's no card 6. Card 3, there's no card 3. Card 4 is gone. Card 2, then card 5, until essentially nothing is left. So that's the dot filter. It just returns an array based on a condition. So if we do the opposite, let's do, instead of not equals to, let's do equals to. And as you may guess, if I click on card 3, everything will disappear apart from card 3. It's just the card 3 that is left. let's refresh. If I click on card 6, everything will be gone apart from card 6. If I click on card 1, all of them will leave instead of card 1. So what that one is doing is that they are saying if the card we clicked is equals to any of these cards here, the card was ID of the card we clicked is equals to any of these cards here, right? Just set this to an array list, to an array that contains only that item. So that is why when we now click on the button, only card 3 is left. If we click on card 2, only card 2 is there. If we click on card 1, only card 1 is there. So that is how the filter function works. If what I've explained so far is not clear, what you should do is go to YouTube, browse on .filter. You can leave out all this fancy rendering. Just look for a video that will explain .filter, or come to this website right here. I'll put the link in the description for you to check and play around with this code and really understand what is going on with the .filter method. Okay, so that's been it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to be saying this for the first time since I started this challenge of mine. Please, if you're interested in learning how to code or know somebody that is interested, subscribe to the channel or share the video, because it will really help if more people are watching my videos. So far I have very little subscriber counts. I think I have like 3 subscribers or 6 or something around there. Even my video watch time. So I'm not concerned about all of that. I just love to show people that tech is really awesome, and I'm really passionate about the field in terms of learning how to code and changing your life, getting a good job and all of that, and I'm in the process of doing that myself. So let's turn this into a community. So if you liked the video, even if you did not like the video, just like it and subscribe. That would be really nice. Thank you very much. That's been it. On to the next day. Bye.